Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that brings us to our staff reports, and I would like to call your attention to two letters that you have before you, one from BNSF Railway, the other from Union Pacific, addressing a very important issue facing our country, that is improving the safety of our freight and passenger rail systems. These letters address the implementation of what's known as positive train control. Many of you have heard this mentioned in the news because of the unfortunate experience that happened in the Philadelphia area. But this has been an area of ongoing work by our railroads since the Safety Improvement Act of 2008. And I'd like to invite Brenda Mainwaring and Hugh McCulley to summarize for you some of the comments and concerns their organizations have expressed in these two letters.
I'm going to be really brief. You have this information. I'm going to tell you what it means. Congress mandated positive train control in 2008 after a very tragic commuter rail incident in Los Angeles. The mandate requires that by December 31st of this year, railroads, all passenger operations, and all TIH, toxic inhalation hazards, travel only on lines that are equipped with this positive train control. Now, the technology did not exist in 2008. The mandate requires that the railroads create, build, install, test an entirely new technology, and we fully integrate it across the rail industry. No Class 1 will meet the deadline. No commuter railroad has indicated that they will meet the deadline. By the end of this year, Union Pacific will have spent about $2 billion and hired 1,000 people to try to make it work, but we're only going to be about 2/3 of the way done. FRA has determined that they cannot allow any waivers. They don't have the authority. That means Congress has to take an action in order to extend the deadline. I don't think any of us can imagine a situation where Congress would not extend the deadline, but I think all of us can agree that Congress is a little unpredictable. So we have been, as a rail industry, determining what we will do if the deadline is not extended, and that's why it's important for you. If Congress does not extend the deadline, each railroad will take its own action because it affects our customer service. Union Pacific, in the letters in front of you, has notified Congress that we will stop passenger operations at the end of December, and we will embargo TIH. Passenger operations will make sure everybody's cleared off the line so they're not stranded on December 31st, but before Thanksgiving, in November, in less than 90 days, Union Pacific will begin to embargo toxic inhalation hazards. That's so we can assure that all TIH is off our lines by December 31st. TIH includes chlorine. We deliver to many Texas municipalities for their water purification. Even if you don't get delivery of chlorine directly by rail, a lot of it comes to rail and then is shipped out to various municipalities. It includes anhydrous ammonia, which is also an important component for water purification and is used in fertilizer. And all TIH that is shipped to our chemical customers will stop being delivered as of Thanksgiving. These customers will be significantly affected. They will either have to seek alternative delivery or make changes to their operations. We have notified all of our customers. We've notified municipalities that receive from us directly so that they have time to make alternate plans. The FRA has the ability to take a very strict interpretation of this rule, which would indicate that any PTC identified route cannot carry any freight at all, which means that effective December 31st, if Congress does not change the deadline, rail service will essentially stop. Texas has, on Union Pacific only, 4,000 miles of PTC identified track. So this is not necessarily a call to action. We have been doing a lot of work for the last year and a half to help Congress understand what this means. I think we're making some traction, but if anyone would like to add their voice, we certainly would appreciate the help to help make sure that Congress understands what it could do to the Gulf Coast, what it can do to freight transportation in the country. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, Brenda, I have one, and that is if the industry is asking for an extension from Congress, how much of an extension are they asking for?
We are asking for it. The problem is it's an unknown technology. We're about 2/3 of the way installed, but we have not finished installation. We haven't been able to check to see if it's integrated across all the railroads. We haven't been able to test it. And after that happens, FRA has to certify it before we can run any traffic on these lines. So to put a date is not something we've said outright. We've essentially said Congress needs to act to allow those things to happen. Install, test, certify.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Brenda, do you have sample resolutions that we might be able to look at and consider in our individual entities?
Those letters are very clear, and there's also a lot of letters. I'd be happy to send anybody who's interested. I'll send them to Alan and to David from the American Chemical Council, from the National Water Council, from all the industries who are going to be dramatically affected by this.
Commissioner Clark's resolution on Prop 7, I would say that next month we need to have a resolution on this also.
I sure hope by next month we don't need it.
Well, we do too, but okay.
Better to have it.
Is there interest here at the table? I asked the staff to have a resolution prepared for next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brenda. Alan?
And I'll just, on behalf of BNSF Railway, I'll just say very quickly that our position is essentially the same, and it's set forth in detail in the letter that's in your package. I think it's worth saying so that it's very clear, Harris County and the Port of Houston and our entire industrial base here is directly affected by this. Traffic coming in and out of Houston on the railroads here is directly impacted, and if there's no federal action, then that traffic will presumably come to a halt, which is, of course, not something that we expect the government to allow to happen. But what we are here is a situation where who is going to blink, and so we're informing all of our shippers and the government at the same time that we need action here. It cannot be ignored. Congress needs to pay attention to some of these essential things. We're not sure that they truly understand the significant impact. But for instance, Chairman Longoria over there, this would have an immediate and direct impact upon the Port of Houston and the entire Houston-Galveston area.
Just imagine how much fun the hackers are going to have shutting down all the railroads one day. Stop it.
Thank you.
One final, if I may. Brenda, is the flyer on the positive train control that UP produced, is that available on site? On a website? It
is available on our website. I'll send that link to David as well.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Just another follow-up, Brenda. How long has your organization been working on this? You said that you're about 2/3 through it. When did you start?
We started in 2008 when the mandate came through.
Okay. 7 years you've been working on this.
As I said, we spent $2 billion just on this and hired 1,000 people. No Class 1, no railroad will meet the deadline.
Thank you. Alan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will point out, please read the letter. Nothing's easy when it comes to doing this sort of thing, and there's a number of factors that entered into the time period that's already elapsed, but certainly an important issue for us to address. I wanted to just make sure that we had covered any remaining questions concerning Proposition 7. As you saw under Item 7, Proposition 7 would more than double the amount of mobility funding available to our region. And those tables only include an estimate of 50% of the funds available for the last 5 years of the 10-year period. So its total impact in those last 5 years will be double that amount of revenue. So I would urge you to think carefully about the potential impact of that to our area and to our state.
Well, I'd like the minutes to reflect that. We've asked the staff to bring forth a resolution next month.
Thank you. And then if there are no other comments on that, I'd be happy to respond to any questions you might have about our status reports or either the staff activities or the actions taken by the H-GAC Board of Directors to implement activities that you've directed.
Any questions for the staff? No? If not, that concludes your presentation.
Remarks.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Look forward to seeing you next month.